Good afternoon, one and all. I welcome you all on this afternoon's energetic panel discussion, which will immerse you with the current trends in service. So, I request you all to get ready for interacting with our experienced and dynamic guest of today's panel and welcome you all to IIEBM's induction program of 22nd batch, Ignite 2021. I am Professor Neeraj Kumar Sathone from Placement Team IIEBM, your host for the session. This session will be of 2 hours 15 minutes, where first 2 hours will be mostly knowledge sharing and rest will be question and answer. You can type your questions in the chat box, which will be addressed time to time. If we talk about leadership role, organizational growth, global hiring, team building, who else can explain it better than our today's guest, Mr. Ritesh Baghel sir, Mr. Bhupindra Mr. sir, and Mr. Ashutosh Gupta sir. They will talk on scope and challenges in service sector for management students. So let me introduce the guest one by one. Mr. Ritesh Baghel sir, he is a country head India operations at Software Galaxy Systems. Sir work with Reliance Infostream Private Limited, Wipro BPO, Advanced Computer Services Limited as a senior IT recruiter, Colebra as supply relationship manager, then SGS Consulting as country head. He is presently serving here. He served as a head of operations for facility in India and as such is responsible for overseeing the overall operations in India, including functions such as financial, legal, information technology, procurement, and implementation of the corporate strategy. He have handled the responsibilities like develop and deploy the process and system required to meet immediate and future business needs in the domestic and international markets, support the planning, implementation, and rollout of HR policies, process and procedures to satisfy the international customer base, support the organizational development and managing the HR aspect of the business such as merger, acquisition, joint venture, etc. I welcome you to today's panel discussion, sir. Most welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Our next guest is Mr. Bhupindra Mr. sir. He is having 18 plus years of experience. He is an ex-Genpact talent acquisition lead. In his career of 18 years, sir have varied experience in the field of HR, operations, sales, and customer service in IT and BPO. We can say that banking and insurance domain industry. He have an experience in the field of recruitment, sales, and customer service industry such as campus and vendor management, quality management, operations management, and client management. Sir have expertise in calibrating with clients regarding their expectations, managing a team of recruiters, handling end-to-end recruitment cycle, managing CPH, achieving ambitious revenue targets, meeting stiff deadlines and provide customized solutions to client, internal stakeholder including hiring metrics. Sir is strong in people management skills. I welcome you to today's panel discussion, sir.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Our next guest is Mr. Ashutosh Gupta, sir, with 8 plus years of experience. He is working as HR manager at Aeroplast Limited. Mr. Gupta, sir, has exposure in leadership, niche level hiring, and industrial mapping. His expertise in starting the verticals from scratch level. He started his professional journey with INAC Global Executive Search and was instrumental in hiring talent for different industries. He comes from technical and management background. He is an engineer by profession in electrical and electronics engineering. Sir worked with Markfed, Aryan HR Consulting Limited, Bada Business Private Limited, and presently working with Aeroplast Limited as HR manager. I welcome you to today's panel discussion, sir. Now I would like to request Ritesh sir to start the session and then we will go ahead. Yes, sir. Now over to you, Ritesh sir.
Wonderful, sir. First of all, thank you everyone, whoever is present here, correct? And so basically we have been invited here to talk to all the students and talk about the service industry we have. So I would not like to go ahead and talk about service industry in general. I'll go ahead and talk about my experiences, what I have got, and the journey I started. And I'll go ahead and discuss about that. I think that will be better for people. They can understand the challenges they face and other aspects, correct? So when you talk about the service industry right now, um, it has grown in last 15, 20 years. That's what I have seen. People who are coming from various backgrounds, people who are engineers, people who are commerce graduate, people who are coming from arts, all of them have been accommodated into service industry, because when you see from the BPOs to sales and other industries, when you go ahead and do, uh, everybody has a need of different types of people. And when you get into service industry, obviously your education and the background is very, very critical and important. But at the same time, the skills you possess, correct? Somebody who's a engineer can be good into sales because his personality is according to that, so he can get into that. Someone like me who's a commerce graduate and I did my master's in English, and I am into staffing industry. So the service industry is an industry which can accommodate all kind of people with their skills. So whatever skills people have, they can get into it, and they can go ahead and try to make their career. I mean, I am into US staffing, where I meet a lot of youngsters, and the journey which we started 7, 8 years back, I started with 2 youngsters in SGS. And right now we have around 500 employees who are working with various capacities, which includes your recruitment, which includes accounting, which includes admin, support, IT, HR, client relationship. So there are various departments we have at this point of time. Similarly, other organizations also do have. So when I meet a lot of youngsters, a lot of the people, when I go ahead and talk to them, they speak about one thing, sir. I mean, they go ahead and do a particular education, which can be a BE or a BTech or something else. They go ahead and choose when they're very young, at the age of 10th or 11th, or what we call in Maharashtra junior college, correct? They go ahead and select that, they choose that. And when by the time they complete their graduation, or by the time they complete their bachelor's, they realize this is not something they would like to go ahead and do. A lot of the people are not comfortable sitting 8 hours, 10 hours in front of the computer and doing their coding. There are people who do mechanical engineering. They're not very comfortable working in the dust and that heavy mechanical environment, right? And they want to go ahead and change. So when they want to go ahead and change, this industry is the one which accommodate a lot of people like that, who are from various backgrounds, and they are not able to get into the field of their own, or the ones who are not comfortable going into their field, they choose to go into somewhere else, correct? So this is about it. And when I talk about, I would like to go ahead and talk about my industry, which is US staffing. So unlike in India, right? In India, you would find most of the jobs which we have are permanent positions, and most of the employers, they go ahead and hire their own employees on their own payroll. But in America, I mean, I do recruitment for America. So we have various clients in America, which include Johnson and Johnson, Pepsi, Coke, General Electric, AMD, Coca-Cola, and there are many others. So these are the clients who go ahead and need manpower, right? So our job is to go ahead and get the manpower from various resources available in America, and get them placed into the particular jobs or the needs what the client has. And this is again comes into the service industry, which right now, if you ask me, in my city, I belong to Indore. When we started in 2010, there was only one company, right, like us, and we were like what, 5, 7 people when we started the organization here. Right now, we have more than 50 companies in a small city like Indore, and I think around 10,000 employees are working in this industry. When you talk about Noida, when you talk about Gurgaon, Bangalore, even to Pune, this industry is coming up and giving a lot of employments to people and giving opportunity to people to interact with the highly experienced individuals who are working in America, and they are the ones who are working with various capacities, from a software engineer to a CEO of any big company you talk about. So this is another thing which you go ahead and get into this industry, where you can go ahead and interact with people, maybe someone who's working in Qualcomm and going ahead and developing a project where the 5G is coming. So these are the people with whom the people who are working with us as recruiters can go ahead and interact with them. So these are the type of opportunities you have, and the growth, the kind of industry we are working in the staffing is immense. People who start their careers in 4 or 5 years, they can reach to a very to the level where people do not imagine they can, a kind of earning they'll go ahead and do. And there's an immense growth when it comes to personality and the personal behavior in a lot of aspects. So this is about years of staffing. It is right now in the service industry one of the fastest growing contributor, right? And a lot of people are coming and joining and making their careers into this, right? And that's it, sir. Anything specific, if you want to ask me to add on, I can go ahead and add on. I just wanted to cut it short, not to take too much of time, because there are other people as well who want to go ahead and do this.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ritesh sir, for your valuable time. Now I would like to invite Bhupinder sir to share their journey.
Thank you so much for extending your warm welcome to us. And like I'd mentioned, if we talk about the Indian scenario, of course, we have multiple industries which are playing their important roles, irrespective, being the manufacturing industry, being the retail industry, being the service industry. But if we talk about the total industry as a whole, everything is intercorrelated to each other. And we cannot just say that this industry has more importance and this has less importance, because all the components of these industries are interrelated to each other. But like, since today we have a very specific sector we are talking about, which is the service sector, this pandemic time, of course, have made us realize that how important this sector is all about. And service is not just only providing your valuable inputs to your customers, it's also gearing up yourself for the coming times which are coming ahead as great challenges to all the young budding people, especially for the management students, because now they are in a dilemma of the biggest challenge which they have is the virtual.
Right, sir.
And that virtual is making us realize that how important the service sector is all about, because it just talks about end-to-end customer right now, and your role as a person to cater to all the segments of these societies, so that you are the best in terms of providing the services, not just only the services which are provided, but even after services, one step ahead, to retain back your customers back to you. And in today's scenario, if we talk about, the service sector has contributed to more than 56% of its share to the entire Indian sector, because this is the most upcoming field which is coming up these days. Even if we are talking about retail has also gone into one major sector, which is again a service sector. Home deliveries, this is again becoming a part of the service sector. Recruitments, artificial intelligence is playing an important role in that. Blockchain, it's again talking about working from your places and contributing to the success of the economy. Similarly, we have edge computing, we have artificial intelligence, we have robotics, we have internet services, And during this time, if we have realized, people who are from the IT industry, they are the one who have been contributing the most success rate towards the working of the economy. Healthcare industry, it's not lagging behind, because it's again talking about what services you are providing and how you are becoming a service differential to people you are providing the services to. The most significant trend which has come in this particular time is the startups, and as a result of which, lot of entrepreneur skills have developed in people to come up with the smallest ideas they have in their mind and to execute the best of the wonders they can do for themselves. Swiggy, the biggest example. Dream 11, one of most examples in gaming. Similarly, we have lot of industries. Just pick any industry and you would see that startups are, mushrooming like anything, and they are making their presence in the Indian scenario. I will not go and talk much in detail about the trends, the figures, the data, because I know a lot of students would have a lot of things to have in their room for us. So definitely would leave all these questions for the later session, so that once we are having the interactive session with the students, with other panelists, I would definitely like these questions to come in. But yes, one thing I would just like to say, that yes, this particular time has given us the biggest lesson, that nothing is constant, and everything is going to change, and we have to change our skill sets, we have to change our mindsets, and then of course we have to change ourselves to combat to whatsoever which is coming ahead as a time to us. Thank you so much for all of us for your valuable time to us. And with this, I would request you to move on to the next panelist so that we can carry on with the continuation of this program. Thank you so much.
So now I would like to invite Ashutosh sir to share their views with our students.
Thank you, Neeraj, again. Thank you for welcoming me again. So I would like to start with a small serenity prayer which I used to say during my school days. So that is a very 3-line prayer. So I wish since there are management students here, so I would like to have they to implement that thing. So that was a 3-line prayer. God has given us serenity to accept the things which we can't change, the courage of changing the things, yes we can, and wisdom is to know the difference between good and bad.
Yes, sir.
So since this is a pandemic situation, and this pandemic has right now we have a lot more of service industries which are coming up in the market, and we have realized the importance of service sector in the industry. So if you see whether it's a food delivery service, whether it's a health service, so right now new startups have been developed due to this service industry, and service industry is already contributing a lot in our economy as well. So since from my experience, if I say I have worked with a startup where service has more priority with the people. The people even like to have a digital service, even in terms of learning as well, since we have gone to this virtual mode. So with the students, I can say the most essential skills which they have to imbibe in them to go into the sector, to get in this sector, that is right now integrating the technology as well with them. So right now there is a lot more of scopes in the digital marketing, digitalization. So student has to engage with the products, because right now everyone is using social media. So why not utilize in a better way how we can engage with the customer, how we can get the better customer feedback, how we can prepare ourselves in terms of getting the right sort of skills from the social media as well, so the digital modes as well. So service sector is a very vast sector in which students have a vast good career. If I talk about in terms of starting the on kind of services, on new kind of startups, student can go with that as well. So just like if I talk about small scale industry, right now we have startups like V services, so which provide which help you to in terms of courier deliveries within the same day. So since I belong to the supply chain sector, so right now this is one of the major aspect where everyone can every management student can grow their career as well. So with the service industry, the important aspect is having the customer feedback, keeping in your mind that customer is a valuable thing, because So you will get only served once you provide the better service. So from my experience, if I talk about, I was interviewing few people recently. So because a lot more of the institutions, they have started, providing this digital service along with the courses. They are providing the extra certifications, which is also a part of service. So I believe students should, imbibe structure like imbibe skills like, having lot more sort of utilizing the digital platforms nowadays. So you can engage with a lot more of new skills. They can acquire a lot more of new skills from the many free sources as well. So we can go, once we will question answer, I can show some more data. I do have certain slides prepared, so I can go with the students as well.
Yes, sir. Most welcome. Now, I would like to tell our students that Mr. Ritesh sir's camera is not working, so he will not be visible to us. So he will be available on audio only. Okay. So now I would like to ask my first question to Ritesh sir. Sir, you have already worked with the clients like Johnson and Johnson and Coca-Cola. So how the your staffing has been changed after pandemic, or it is same before and after? Yes, sir. Over to you.
It has changed, to be very honest, right? We work in America, correct? And the way it changed in India, it has changed in America as well. So initially, we were doing all the jobs which were from various clients were only on site, where the people have to go at the site. They have to work within the Johnson and Johnson premises and do all the activities within there. Right now, even if there is we have customer service for a company. Johnson and Johnson sells a lot of products, so there are people who are supposed to go ahead and help customers with their issues and challenges. So all those people were sitting at the premises of Johnson and Johnson, and they were not allowed to take any information outside. Right now, whether it is Johnson and Johnson, General Electric, or American Airlines, a lot of the things, they started allowing people to go ahead and sit at home and do their jobs from home, which was not at all possible before this pandemic happened, because there was a lot of data safety, information security, and a lot of things were there. America was hit by a pandemic. It was very bad when it comes to the jobs. Millions and millions of people lost their jobs. But within 6 months of time, when it changed, and they went ahead with vaccinations and the treatments. Right now, if you ask me, it is very close to be normal in terms of job market. But yes, the situations have changed, and a lot of people have been now allowed to work from home, which was not practically possible in the past. The difference, what I see in India and America when it comes to work from home, the level of productivity what we get in America is, say, 90%, 95% working from home and working from office. And in India, I don't think the productivity of people working from home is 90 to 95%. It's much lesser than what is there in America. So a lot of the Indian companies have started asking people to report back to office. By December, I think a lot of more will start asking people to go ahead and come back in India. But in America, the trend has changed, and now a lot of people are working from home. So that is the change we have got.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable input. Now, my next question is to Bhupindra, sir. Sir, you have said that the startups are mushrooming very fast now. So what is the impact of it on our service sector? Is there any exponential growth in service sector of startups, or startups are growing on all the sectors? Yes, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much for your question. If we define startups are primarily not just only which are related during this time. Startups were already existing in our system, but yes, with our limitation of being confined to the indoors, I think that has brought a change in the definition of startups, especially. And majority of these startups are the ones who are not just only working with the physical presence. They have moved on to a different mode, which is basis the apps. And as a result of which, the people who are into the IT industry, they have got a lot of scope for their work now. because with the coming of these apps and development of these apps, everybody wants the things to be at their fingertips onto their phones only. And rightly mentioned by one of my fellow panelists that yes, the trend has changed whereby now the companies would prefer people to go for a different mode of working, and this mode of working is working from home, because it's reducing lot of overhead costs for people. And especially people have realized now that it is not only working in the offices that makes you go through the desired output. This desired output can be attained even if you're working at home also. And their companies are trying to invest the additional revenue or additional money into other things whereby they can, they can start up on their own and venture into those lines whereby they can have more better results for the people who are working for them. Startup are just not only confined to the service sector, but yes, majorly people are now venturing into startups and especially into the service sector, especially home deliveries, groceries, because these are all which were the basic essential services which were playing their critical role during the pandemic time. I'm not just talking very specific to the pandemic time right now, because every phase has its own limitation. And I know in the coming year or so, this phase is also going to move out now. But yes, since this phase has given us that lesson that we have to gear up with the resources we have with us. So we have to utilize those resources which are at our disposal, become more tech savvy, and of course, we should be able to realize the potential of each and every small field which is existing around us, so that we can find the best opportunity around that. That's pretty much I have to talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My next question is to Ashutosh, sir. Sir, you are from the technical background, and then you have completed your management. So how this your management is in management, your engineering is helping you to survive, and which are the special technical skills which you use in your profile, like some softwares in HR or some modules of coding or something, whatever, which is related to your graduation, which help you out in survival as well as in growth in your sector. Now over to you, Ashutosh, sir.
Sure, of course, because if I talk about modern time, so it is more of a tech-driven time. So how it helped me, because if I talk about in terms of tech hiring as well, so unless and until you have a bit of technical knowledge, so you can't hire resources. At least you need to understand what are the basics. Suppose if I have to hire a product manager, so I should know at least what the product manager do, what are the basic tech requirements. So at least what are the new trends in the market, at least I should also understand with them, so that it helps me in terms of sorting the right sort of candidate from there. And of course, with the HR, you can integrate it with the lot of things. You can automate the systems. No, you can have your psychometric tools in a one click, one go, where it takes a lot more time to assess people. No, in a one go you can have in the Excel or in the Google Sheets. In a one go you can access you can get the reports. That is how the tech skill will help in terms of assessing the people as well. So you can utilize tech plus management combination everywhere in the life, whether it's a recruitment or it's any other different price. So you can break down your problem in present cases where technology, you can add technology to it to find the right relevant solution.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now my question is open to all. As all students are from the different disciplines, they are from the BBA, BCom, BE, BSc. Now they are entering into a management program. So they have options of marketing, HR, finance, as well as the other options like project management, finance, some specials like R, Python. They can also learn the basics of that. So what is your view, means which skill set if they will build up right now, so after 2 years it will be a fruitful one for them to best suited for your sector? Now over to you. Anyone can pick this question and answer this.
I would like to throw some light on this first.
Sure, sir.
So These are obviously the skill, Python or R reports. These are important skills, obviously. But before that, if I say if they need to go the skill, that is a business acumen to understand the business, how the business runs. That is basic of the management. So which most people don't go, rather than they just go to the theoretical knowledge rather than going into the practical, because you will learn this thing from your daily life. So business acumen skill that most companies even look after at know this time of day. You will find CEOs as a special team, director office as special team. So these people are the backbone of the industry who assess all the credential in the industry, how the health of the organization is. So to achieve this, Python and other Tableau and these can add values. But first up, all the business acumen, that is the important skill which they need to grow.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now my next question is
Adding to that, I would also like to say that in this coming time, the leadership styles have already changed. And today, leader is not who is getting the things done from people. Today, leader is teaching people how to change yourself and adapt accordingly and get the things done. So that's going to become the biggest change which is there, that you have to have the acquired skill set with yourself, and the biggest thing everyone should have with you is your proactive approach. You should think before that what's going to be the trend, and just not prepare before when the trend comes to you. You have to realize the trends right in the beginning and see to it that after 2 years whether these skill sets are going to play their role into the current scenario or not. So you have to be really proactive with the things, basically.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Ritesh, sir, would you like to share some views on this?
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, I personally believe in a little different way, to be very honest, right? Uh, the first and the most important thing, as per me, is what would you like to do? What do you want to do? Because what happens in a job, right? A lot of them are students, and as I have seen in my personal experience, people get into a particular stream when it comes to education or into a job, looking at their senior brothers, sisters, or somebody who are working and doing the similar kind of thing. They get attracted, and then they do that kind of a course, and then they get into that field. But then when they have to go ahead and work in the office for 9 hours, or they have to go into a field and do the job for 9 hours, they don't like it that much, right? So for me, rather than going ahead looking at the environment, what is coming up and what is in boom right now, I would request the students to go ahead and look at the job or the field or the area which they believe they love to do and they can carry on for a lifetime. Because when you choose a career or a job, it is not for normally I would suggest people to go and do for 1 year, 2 year, and then they switch the field and all. I would suggest be very careful what you choose, and then you try to understand what are your skills. Everybody is not good at everything, correct? There are people who would be good at numbers. There are people who would be good in communication. There will be people who are good in doing presentation. There are people who would be good in people management. So there would be different people with different skill sets and different knowledge base. Right now, what I would suggest to people, first of all, try to understand what do you like to do, what do you love to do, which you would enjoy after joining, and will be able to go ahead and do that happily for 9 hours. That is the key to anyone who's getting into service industry. If you get into a job which you don't like, you won't be able to enjoy that for 9 hours. And when you come back home after doing that, you will be tired and you'll be sad, and you won't be happy, right? The first and the most important thing for me is to make sure you understand what are your skills, develop those skills, and then get into the field which you like and would be able to enjoy, rather than looking at someone and getting into it without knowing about it, right? So that would be my suggestion to people who are right now looking to get into various careers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your input. As means to work hard, you must enter for a longer duration. That is work for more time. Thank you, sir. Now my next question is to Bhupinder, sir. Sir, you have already done the campus interviews and campus and vendor management. So when you are coming for campus to any institute, which type of skill set you are looking for apart from their academics? Yes, sir, over to you.
Rightly mentioned, I have been taking care for campus recruitments for quite a long time. And over a period of time, I have realized earlier what it was your physical presence, which made a lot of difference in the campuses. But now, since most of the things are confined to the virtual part of it, the biggest skill set I would definitely say is your virtual presence, especially your eye contact and your mode of speech. These are the two biggest things which will definitely make your presence over the screen. You have to have the virtual presence felt on your screens in such a way that, yes, of course, earlier, yes, of course, we had that advantage of meeting the candidate in person and talking about that candidate, and whereby, the body language, your skill sets could play a very critical role. But now, since we are confined only to Zoom, Skype, and interactions like these webinars, whereby the companies would be doing their major hiring. And then, of course, the biggest trend which has come into recruitments is artificial intelligence. That's playing a very critical role in selection of the candidates once we are conducting these recruitments. But at the end of it, the biggest skill set I would say a candidate should always possess with themselves is their attitude. Your attitude to succeed in your life should reflect in your conversation, should reflect in your facial expressions, and of course should reflect in your each and every move which you are showing or making your presence felt onto the screen once you're giving these interactions to the HRs. The subject knowledge is going to play a very critical role these days because you would be judged primarily on those bases now. And like I'd mentioned, the biggest change which has come to us is to change now. If you can reflect that change very, very comfortably and you can articulate with your thoughts and with your mindset variations you have in you, that will play a very critical role in your selection and your success stories.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now my next question is open to all, and I expect answer from everyone one by one. Question is that when you have experience of this much after graduation, you have started your journey, then you reach to some level, then you found that some mistakes, or from mistakes you can say the learnings you have. So if our student will avoid those mistakes or those learning, they can grow faster. So what are the mistakes you did in your career which you want to share so that our students should avoid it? One by one, I want answer from you also. Yes, over to you now.
Yes, your question is one of the valid questions, and like it is said, mistakes are the stepping stones to your success.
Yes, sir.
Right. So it's not that you can encode any of these mistakes which will make you go through a very specific success story. Mistakes are always there to make you realize that, yes, of course, that was a mistake. And then, of course, you learn from your mistake and you don't tend to repeat the history back again to yourself.
Yes, sir.
I think that is what you are trying to get the gist out of it, that what could have been that one thing which could have changed the things for you also, right?
Yes, sir.
If I'm not interpreting it wrong.
Yes, sir. If our student will avoid those mistakes or learnings, then they will progress faster. So this is what I would like to say.
No, I will not suggest not to make any mistakes. Please make mistakes so that you can learn. It's a learning story for you. And then, of course, that mistakes in your life definitely teach you a lot to become more successful in your life.
Yes, sir.
Don't get by that fear of making the mistakes.
Yes, sir. Ritesh, sir, what is your view on this?
No, Bhupinder sir pointed out very nicely, right? When you talk about mistakes, right? Everybody tries, and sometimes they fail and sometimes they succeed, right? So I would put it in a little different way. What sir said, I completely agree, and I don't want to disagree to that. If you was, rather than, I would say, mistakes, when you try something new, you will fail. Correct? So if you're trying something which you're not sure what would be the consequences of that after doing, you should go ahead and do. You will try 10 things and you may be able to succeed in 2, you may be able to succeed in 5, and you may be able to succeed in 3. But if you see that there is something which is done by 10 people and all of them have failed, the mistakes which are done by 10 people and all of them have failed, you don't want to be that 11th person to do the same and become the 11th person who is failing. Correct? So
Right,
if
sir.
if you do something new about which you're not sure what would be the consequences, correct, you should go ahead and try that, whether you call it mistakes, whether you call it efforts, whatever you want to call it. But if you see that there are people who have done that 10 times, 10 people have already done, you don't want to do that again and fail again and become the 11th person. So that you have to be a little sensible in that. I'll talk about, since a lot of the people who are here are the youngsters, correct? And
Right,
they are just into the college, and I have seen the problem which I see. I am not sure about other people, because my industry is where I hire a lot of youngsters, and 90% of the people I have are between 21 to 24. That is the age bracket I have. So the problems or the mistakes what these people make when they come into from a college to a campus, right, or an office, there are a few things which they have to keep in mind and which they should not do. When you are not into a college, you're a student. Your conduct, your behavior, you can have a little free kind of behavior where you can be little casual. Everything is open. But when you get into a corporate or a professional life, you have to make a transition from a student to a employee, and that is very, very important. And it is not in terms of your attire or the way you look, it is into your mindset, right? That is something which is very, very important, that you have to start believing you're not into a college, and when you get into the office, you are employed by an organization to be productive and do a particular task in a limited or a particular defined time. So that is what your role is. Whereas in education, if you are getting into a class, and if you are into a college, and you are throughout the day, out of 5 classes you pay attention to 3 and to 2 you don't, it's fine. But when you are into the office in a corporate sector, when you are in the 9 hours into that particular office or employment place, you have to make sure that 9 hours of yours is getting into the work, right? That is very, very critical, which I find a lot of people take it a little lightly when they jump from a college campus to I would say the employment. Second thing which I have seen, distraction. When you come from a college background, you are very young and you do not know what to do at what time. And nowadays, the smartphones are the biggest distraction I have seen in everywhere. So when you're doing a job, you are required to have a lot of focus. And these are a lot of big distraction which takes you away from the job and get you in something else. So when I'm not saying only the cell phones, there are different things as well. So you have to make sure that your focus is at work when you get into that, which is very, very critical and very, very important, right? Another thing which I would like to suggest, it is not with youngsters, it is with a lot of people who are there in the corporate life and in service industry. When you are into service industry, you are mostly dealing with clients or you are with particular people. Everybody has 2 life. One is a personal life and second one is a professional life, correct? So the problem what happens with a lot of people, I mean, most of us are human, and I mean all of us are human, and most of us have a lot of challenges and issues in our personal life. The day you get into the office, or as soon as you get inside the office premises, the first thing you have to do is leave all your personal things outside the door. You can't be physically in the office and your mind is into your family or your personal issues, because that's another thing which people do in employment or when they do a job, which does not allow them to go ahead and grow or get the best out of them. So you have to understand as a professional to separate between the personal and the professional life. As soon as you enter inside the premises, the first thing you have to do, leave all your personal issues outside. As soon as you go out of the office, your challenges, your issues, your problems of office, my suggestion is to leave within the office premises. So when you go back home, your personal life is not impacted by the issues or challenges you have in the office. So these are few of the things which I see people should be very, very careful if they want to really succeed in the professional and corporate life.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable suggestion. Ashutosh, sir, what you would like to say about this?
So already Bhupindra and Ritesh has covered most of the things, but I will suggest one thing since these are management students. So I will suggest them one thing: don't get confused in terms of choosing your specialization. So rather than work on the skills and then compare it, which is the better choice. So work on the skill rather than focusing on the specialization. So you will get to know what you are good in. So then choose that particular specialization. Yeah, it doesn't matter whatever the specialization you do. At the end, it matters whatever the skills you possess relevant to that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I will take one question from chat box. Nidhi is saying that, sir, I will just read it out as it is. Sir, why it is seen that most of the management students are from BBA, engineering, BCom, etc., but not from BA? And sir, please recommend the skill set I need to focus upon from the beginning to match the pace in the background and can be competitive enough being from BA honors background. Anyone can answer this? Over to you, sir.
Okay, I'll take up this question.
Yes, sir.
It's not only just the stream from which you are. Limiting yourselves to BA is not just you are demarcating yourself. Like I could see this question in the chat box, and they have tried to mention that the difference is between the management students and the non-management students. This is what I can interpret. Irrespective, like it is being talked about, your skill set is going to play the most critical role. And rightly mentioned by one of our panelists, that it's how you manage your work-life balance. That's going to play the most critical role. Once you move into the office, you're an office person. Now the trend has changed and people are working from home. Despite the home is there, but you have to still keep the home one side, especially once you're working for your office timings. Similarly, once you're done with your office timings, you have to move away the worries of your office away and get back into the mode whereby you have to come back to your personal life now. If you're able to manage these two equations in the very right format, I believe irrespective whatever field you are from, you will not face any challenges in your life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, the next question from chat box is for Ashutosh, sir. Sir, most of the traditional laborer jobs are shifting towards a digital platform. So what about the unskilled labor? Yes, sir. Over to you, Ashutosh, sir.
Sure. So when a computer was introduced in India, so many people believe that it will, kill the jobs. But once a computer comes in India, people start developing their skills, and no, computer is an important part of our life. Similarly, it will happen with the digital, and people will start gaining new skills, and new fields will be open. So nothing will help unskilled. It just moves from skill to skill. So it will grow more sectors, so that without hampering another thing. And maybe one side it has pros and it has cons, but it will have more pros than cons, I can say.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now the next question is from Rita from Siliguri. Okay, she's saying that this question is for Ritesh, sir. Sir, she's saying that as you have an experience of Indian policies and US policies, so when we are in a management degree, so we have to work on specialized policies for US if we want to work in US. Yes, Ritesh sir, now over to you. Sir, my question is clear to you. She's saying that as you have experience in US, so she have to work with Indian HR policies as well as with US HR policies. So she should focus specially on specific course for US policies, or Indian policies will be sufficient to enter into this field. Okay, no issue, sir. We will take another question. Okay. So next question is, this is from, okay, so what the service sector plays an important role in India, because after pandemic we have seen that a service sector was a backbone for the supply of all the things. So what according to you is a job which is best suited for management students after this change in service sector? Yes sir. Ashutosh sir or Bhupinder sir, anyone can join, answer this question.
So best suited, I can say there is no best suited job. It is whatever you like and the kind of skill you are having. So you need to grow that the whatever the market is trending in terms of skills. So right now, if I say people are going with the skills like Python, Tableau in terms of data analysis, data interpretation, data sciences courses. So you should see what actually is trending in the market and what the skills you should have at least to lead that particular position. So it may vary, but you should have core skills. You should develop these core skills basically.
Yes sir. Thank you sir.
And to this part, I would mention, like I had already talked about, that the service sector has contributed around 56% of its share to the Indian economy in this current scenario. And the biggest advantage India has is that we have a robust demand, and the demand is going to increase. There is going to be a 6 to 8% of growth in the service sector only itself, if we talk about. And with the kind of competitive advantage in terms of skilled manpower we have with ourselves, sectors like IT and ITS are going to be the booming sectors, whereby we would see a lot of opportunities coming up. And along with that, healthcare is also going to be one of the biggest sectors, whereby we would see a lot of growth opportunities coming for people basically. So right now, if we talk about, yes, of course, the Indian economy is opening up, but since it's a wait and watch situation for everyone, for us, but like it is said, that we cannot keep on sitting and waiting for the things to happen across. We have to take initiatives. We have to go to the next levels, and of course prepare ourselves in such a way that we should realize that what are the trends which are going to come. But yes, service sector is going to play a very critical role, especially into the economy of Indian corporate sector basically.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now the next question is open for any all. It is from Rakesh from Jammu. He's saying simply, when you have hired one person, okay, that time your team is against you, that this candidate will not perform well, but you have found some skills in him that yes, because of this skill he can be a good performer in team, and after some time he's a star performer. So share a story of that candidate to whom you have hired and your team was against that, and now he's a star performer. I want answer from everyone. Yes, anyone can pick this and start this. Yes, Ritesh sir, you can start with this. I hope you have heard my question clearly.
I heard it. So basically, your question is that let's say you wanted to hire someone and others did not in your team. You hired that person and he becomes a performer, right?
Right, sir.
Okay. So I think Bhupinder sir would agree with me because he's also into HR for a long time. When you get into interview, right?
there are few things you like about people, and there are people you don't like, correct? And sometimes your judgment is absolutely perfect, and sometimes you absolutely fail, right?
Right, sir.
No one who's hiring that person can be 100% sure that, okay, this person whom I'm hiring right now will be always a superstar, or the person whom I'm hiring right now, I mean, you can't go ahead, and sometimes you take chance on people who are you're not sure about, and they become the performers. So it is always, in my industry, I have seen a lot of the times, because we have interview process where we have initial rounds and the HR round and then the final manager round, and for the senior positions I go ahead and do that. So it always happens that people who are not rated very high at the point of time interview, they become performers, and there are people whom we feel will perform well, do not succeed. So anyone who goes ahead and becomes a performer, and people who are, I would not say the others from the panel who did not like it, take it personally. It happens with a lot of people, and you can't go ahead and just go ahead and talk about it, right? So interviews are interviews. There are people who are slow learners, and there are a lot of people who get nervous into interview, they do not do well. And there are people who are always great in presenting themselves when it comes to interview, and then they come into the job and they are not focused, they're not dedicated, so they fail into the job, right? So that is something which happens to a lot of people. Do you want me to answer the first question, the girl who asked for Siliguri? I heard the question, if you want, or should I do it later?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the question, if I'm not wrong, was she's someone who's learning Indian HR right now, and she wanted to check whether, if she wants to get into the US HR, should she go ahead and learn US HR as well? Correct? The
Yes,
policies,
sir.
the compliance, and everything. So the basic remains the same. When you talk about HR, it is about human resource management, right? So policies and rules and regulations are 25 to 30% when it comes to the people management of HR. The basic and the core remains the same. But yes, when you want to go ahead and learn about the US HR, or you want to get into the US HR, you have to understand about their policies, which are leave policies, their medical benefits, their employment policies, the termination rules. These are the rules they have to understand. I have a team of around 25 people who are sitting in India, and they are working to me like HR, virtual HR for the people who are working in America. Correct? And they are fresh MBAs or people who have got some experience into HR. We train them for 2 to 3 months, and they are capable enough of going ahead and handling those people. So the most important thing is, do you know how to manage human beings, the resources who are as humans available to you? Difference between Indian HR and US HR is like 20 to 30%, which you can easily learn in any organization who's working with the US team or US clients. That is something which is very, very big. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your this valuable suggestion that once they have completed their PG and they want to work with the US industries, 2-3 months of training given by that specific industry will be sufficient to enter into that domain. Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, Bhupinder, sir. Now I would like to come to you. Any of the star performers in your organization to whom you have hired?
So it's going to be the same question with a slight twist. The mistakes you made in your life.
No, sir. I want to know the story of the person, his specific skill set, like his attitude, his eye-to-eye contact, or whatever thing which strikes you that yes, this person will perform well. Your team have seen his academics and all and everything. So as
Okay.
per that, in that way, sir. Yes, sir. Over to you.
Normally we have a myth with ourselves that people who are young, people who are just college graduates, they cannot take responsibilities. That is the biggest myth we have in our mind. But yes, I would like to share a good success story of one of our team members whom I picked. I've been visiting Delhi University for campus placements for quite a long time. And once I had gone and met this placement coordinator person who was coordinating with a lot of activities. I met this student in the first year. I met the student in the second year, and I met the student in the third year also. And he was coordinating for all the placement activities during the campus. So I just thought, why not take a chance with candidate? He's a bright candidate, and get him into my recruitment team. Um, Everyone was against him, that he is a very young person, just in his early 20s. He was just 21, and I wanted to take him for my campus placement team. And the only thing I could see in that candidate was that spark to achieve in his life, and his flexibility to travel across to different campuses, and his zeal to learn. And trust me, in my team, I have got all the young people who were working in my team. And the only thing I have in these students was my faith that yes, they would be good performers.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Basis
very
that
much.
faith I have in these students, I groom these candidates. I try to give them the opportunities, and to keep on testing them on different opportunities I give. And trust me, I have groomed 8 candidates in my campus team. And today, all those 8 candidates have done wonders to our recruitment teams, and they have found their places in whatsoever organization they have moved into. And today, still they are connected with me, and they say, sir, thank you for having that faith in us, which made us succeed in our life. So I don't see that being young or being a youngster cannot take a responsibility. They can take a responsibility. Yes, of course, you have to mentor them in the right way, so that they can outshine the best in the best possible way.
Thank you, sir. So can I summarize it as our candidates, if interviews show that they have a zeal to learn, so they can impress the HR?
Yes, of course. Like I mentioned, they have to have. We say you should know how to run that extra mile. That extra mile is not shown by running. That extra mile is shown by your way to achieve the things. So I believe that extra mile is something which is required. And of course, with the kind of experience we have in our industry, we definitely tend to find and identify these candidates. You never know, tomorrow once we come to your campus, we might find these bright candidates within the slot itself, and of course they become the trendsetters for your campuses also.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I would like to come to Ashutosh, sir. Yes, sir. Over to you.
So I can share one instance I remember. There was one guy, although I will not reveal identity of the company, but I can reveal he was from Patna. So when we have our first interaction, my reporting manager was against me to share that candidature for next round of processes. But I do have my belief, and while he was interviewed, he got selected, and he's handling entire zone, and during that point of time he was handling one state. So it just depends on the behavior, as well as in terms of you're able to learn new things, and you're ready to accept new responsibilities, and you are a bit flexible in terms of working environment.
Yes, sir.
So
So I can summarize it as behavior as well as flexibility will help the students to attract the HRs.
yeah, absolutely, behavior and flexibility, two things which HR will go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, next question. Anyone can pick this. How has the service sector changed in past 5 years, and what do you predict will happen in next 5 to 10 years? Anyone can answer this.
So like I've already mentioned, that the service industry is here to grow, and with the kind of demand which is coming up, the service sector is showing its growth to 6 to 8% on between 2021 to 24. That is what which is being predicted right now. And of course, with the policy supports we have, especially for Make in India, which is coming up these days, I believe it's going to be a big big changer for everyone. Um, Service sector is not just confined only to delivering the services. It's going to be your interaction with your customers. Especially for the people who are from the HR field, you would see a lot of changes coming up into the HR field, especially with the kind of employees facing the challenges in terms of working from home and getting on to managing the work-life balance. Lot of people will face the challenges of facing the monotonous life. Lot of people will face the challenges of stress management. Lot of people will face the challenges of rewards and recognition, that how would you recognize somebody who is working at home, and how can you equate with somebody who is coming to office regularly. So all these things are going to make changes in our coming scenario. And then of course the service sector is one area whereby you would require a lot of counseling which is coming up now. And
Thank
trust
you.
me, counselors are going to play a very big role these days, especially the academic counselors as well as the psychology counselors.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You would have a lot of scope coming up for these people, especially into the service sector, and we would see a lot of opportunities coming up in these areas.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, Ritesh, sir, what is your view on this? Means what the 5 years back the industry and after this?
It has grown leaps and bounds, to be very honest, right? When I see 5 years back, as I was talking about Indore being a very small place, a B-town city, what I see, we have grown in our industry, I think 10 times to what we had, right? And there are a lot of opportunities coming up in the service industry. Uh, I do not have the exact number, but anywhere you see right now, correct, from education, now you have got the various apps which are coming and getting into that, which is getting into this industry. You have got the food delivery services which has started 5 years back. It was not even existing in our city currently, correct? And right now, even a smallest of the person who's in the town is ordering using those apps. So it has changed dynamically in the last 5 years, and I think in the next 5 years of time, it will grow to a level where we have not even imagined. Right? Everything is available right now. Right? You don't even have to go outside the house, and everything can be serviced at your doorsteps. That is the situation we have, and it is going to go ahead and improve day by day, as Bhupendra sir rightly pointed out about the policies which government has come up, right? So it is going to go ahead and get better and better, and will go faster and faster in the next 5 years. That's what I can assume, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, my next question is to Ashutosh, sir. Sir, can you share some interesting trends which are going to happen after 2021?
Yeah, of course, I can say that digitalization will bring an important trend, although this COVID has already taken up a pace. So the trends which will which were gonna happen after 3-4 years, that is right now due to this COVID. So each and every sector they have bring digitalization in the picture. So this trend is gonna know that even the smaller, you can see even a small set of people, even a small shopkeeper, using the digital technologies. He using app. He is taking money through Paytm, through UPIs. So within the coming sector, you will see we will have more movement towards the digitalization. So that is already there, but it will be more often. You find even of small people they are using the digital apps, or they are using digital things to for their daily needs and daily requirements, even to enhance their skills. This will be the new gonna trend I can say.
Yes, Bhupinder, sir, what is your view on new trends coming up after 2021?
So, like I'd mentioned, the trends are going to be very different. The biggest trend is going to be artificial intelligence. That is one biggest trend which is already getting prevalence, and it will be prevailing a lot. apart from that, people who are from the IT industry, you would see a lot of robotics coming up now. You would see it as a different trend which is coming up. Cloud computing, edge computing, development of apps, um, coming up of startups is going to be one major thing. Uh, Content writing is going to be something which is going to play a very critical role. You would see lot of people coming up with the creative thinking now, and developing on the content writing, especially for there was one candidate who asked me a very specific question: what about the BA candidates? So don't worry, humanities is going to play their critical role now. It's not just only the management, it's not just only the tech people, it's going to be your skill set which is going to play the very critical role. And then of course, with the coming trend, you would also see lot of investment coming up into the service sector, and as a result of which now a lot of people who are from the financial background, they are also going to play a very critical role, especially to handle these kind of stuff which is going to come and exist in the market. The trends are going to change, and trust me, every 6 months the trend is going to change now. Every 6 months, you cannot just say in the coming 6 months this is going to be which is going to prevalent now. It's going to prevail, it's going to prevail, but it has to mutate ourselves. Like we said, in the pandemic time, the phase 1 came, the phase 2 came, and the phase 3. So similarly, it's going to be a change which is going to come, because things are going to mutate very fast now. And basis that mutation now, we would have to understand the trends which are going to come into the Indian corporate sector, and we have to gear up every time to become prepared ourselves for those trends which are going to come into the market now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. My next question is from Anamika. She is from Raipur. And this question is for Ritesh, sir. Sir, if you hire a candidate with superior background and excellent academics, then he may stay for shorter period in your organization. If you hire a person with low performance, he may stay long but will not perform well. So how you deal with this type of challenges? If you hire a high potential candidate, he will leave faster, but low performer will stay longer, which will may be a burden for the organization. So how you deal with this type of challenges? Now over to you, Ritesh, sir.
Absolutely. So wonderful question, to be very honest, right? Look, I have needs where if you talk about my organization, so let's say right now, I have need for people whom I need for 6 months to 1 year time as well. And then I have need for people whom I want to have for a long time as well. Correct? So if I have an option where I want to hire a particular individual, I would go with someone a little low skills and dynamic personality to someone who's very smart, whom I know will quit the job soon. But if you ask me right now, I have need of all kinds of people. I need people for short time as well. I need people for long time as well. Right? So if I'm only looking to have people to stay in my organization for a long time and make their careers, I would hire somebody who's less skilled. But if I have an opportunity where I know, okay, this person is going to sustain or work with me for 6 to 9 months, and if I have a need for that particular individual, I'll go ahead and hire that person as well. So if I'm able to judge it, I am able to accommodate it, I'll go ahead and have that person as well. But if I have a choice, I would go ahead and have the person who is going ahead and staying with me for a longer time, because the learning curve may be a little longer, but that person is going to serve me much more than the other person. So that's my answer to that question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Next question is for Bhupinder, sir. Sir, what are the skills required for a student to handle the people management?
The people management skills are not just only you have within yourself. People management skills are acquired when you interact with people. You may have your individual styles to interact with people, getting your things done with people, but there is no hard and fast rule about people management. People management definitely comes over a period of time. But what is more important is your interpersonal skills, your ability to work as a team player. Until and unless you don't realize that you have to work with a set number of people along with yourself, you cannot learn people management skills. People management skills are even done at our home levels also, dealing with all variety of people who are interacting with you on a daily basis. That is actually called people management skill. Management is all how you manage the resources, and of which people are the biggest asset. And if you're able to manage the people the right way, the majority of the battle is won for you. But like I'd mentioned, there is no hard and fast rule. Some people, yes, of course, you have to use a strict theory. For some people, you have to go by your experience sharing. For some people, you have to have been very considerate. For some, you have to show empathy. For some, you have to be into the similar shoes what they are wearing. So it's not just exactly a thumb rule that you have to follow, that this is the golden rule of managing people. People management is your own individual style, but yes, we should always remember that the people are the biggest assets for your organization, and you should value them, and you should try to nurture them the right way so that they become the assets for the organization.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I have received 4 or 5 questions related to location. So, I will summarize it as many students have done their graduation in their hometown. Now, they want to join the bigger organization which have a presence globally. Now, if they want to join a global organization, whether it is important to relocate to a metro city, or because of pandemic it is possible to work from home for lifetime from their hometown. So this is, I have merged 4 or 5 questions. I hope everyone have understood the crux of this. So anyone can answer this.
I don't think now you have to go ahead and move out of your town, correct? If you want to do a job, because now most of the things are done on digital platform, internet, and phone lines. I mean, I have got people who are working for American clients sitting at their home, and I mean, I belong to Madhya Pradesh, right, which is MP, and I have seen people, which is a very small place like which you call in Maharashtra Taluka. They have got their laptops sitting at their home, right, and population of 15,000 people sitting at their home doing the job, doing recruitment for America, right? So if you have an internet, if you have got good connection, you have your computers, you can go ahead and do a lot of the jobs, not everything, right? But a lot of the jobs sitting at your home. You don't have to go out of your hometown, or you don't have to go to the metro cities, as long as you choose that kind of a job, right? So I don't think you have to go out, right, the way it was like 2 3 years back. So that's what I can suggest. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Bhupinder, sir, what is your view on this? Because most of our students are from the not from the metro cities, so they have completed their education in their hometown, mostly in the district place. Now they want that they should join the global, they want a global exposure and join a global in a company. So is it possible, because of this pandemic everything is changed, so they can work from home and join the global company? Please, sir, your view on this.
Yeah, sure. The biggest trend which has come is working from the remote locations now, right? And like one of my colleagues have already clearly mentioned that uh, coming to see, I told you the trend is going to change. The trend of our office is also going to change now. You will see our office not as an office whereby you come decked up and you have a cabin for yourself, you have a laptop for yourself, you have a vehicle for yourself, it's an air conditioned office. No, the things are going to change now. That office can be one constrained table and chair of your home whereby you are the most comfortable person to work across. Your productivity is going to be measured from those 9 hours of login you would have on your systems also. That will measure your productivity now. Working from the remote locations is going to be a trend now. A lot of companies have gone ahead and they have changed their trends of taking the overhead cost of taking a office on rent and then making the office setup there. They would like to invest more into your rewards and recognitions rather than investing on the infrastructure of your offices now. And trust me, your right skill set is going to be the measuring stick for yourself. And of course, remote locations are going to play a very critical role now, especially in your working styles.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from Radha. She is saying that as this means the program which we are conducting since last 30 means this month's 16th of August till 31 of this month, where we are covering different sectors. So she is saying that she is from a small town, and from this interactions she is getting inputs from different sectors. So her parents are not too educated to tell her that which sector is best. So this from this discussion, and once she will enter into campus, she will get a good knowledge about this, and she will enter into a specific sector. But what if she enter into wrong sector and she want to change the sector after 4 or 5 years? So it will hamper her career or not? Now anyone can answer this. Over to you, sir.
So I will take up this question. So it will not hamper career, but if you have important skill set which is required for any particular job, so it doesn't matter which sector you choose. And it's always it's in a cyclic form. Once some sector is up and some it goes down. But if you we can take the example of IT sector. Right now it's on boom, but if we talk about later on 2008 or so, IT was at the downgrade side. So it doesn't matter if you choose some sector. If you have skill, you can move on. You can move on with the new skills you have acquired in the market. So you can see, actually, you can work on more on the skill side rather than looking at the sector side.
Thank you, sir. Ritesh, sir, what is your view on this? If she will change the sector after 4 or 5 years, whether her career will get hampered, or it's okay for the same?
No, I don't believe in particular sector, right? If you acquire the skills, right? If somebody is into HR, whether you are into retail industry or in industrial industry or into service industry, it doesn't matter much, right? As long as you have the skills to perform your job, you can change the industry, right? Uh, you may not have the edge of a person who's doing the same job in the same industry for 5 years, right? You have to do a little bit of catch up job where you have to get into the details of the industry. But if you acquire the basic skills which are required, the 5 years of experience is not going to go waste. It will be useful for you when you go ahead and change your job. If you're a salesperson or a marketing person, right, which industry you deal with, I mean, it doesn't matter, right? You may have to get into a new industry, learn the things, but you can. If you're a customer relationship person or a client relatives relationship executive, whether you work in a manufacturing field or you work in any other field, it will have impact, but it won't be like a drastic change. As long as you're good enough when it comes to the basic skills of the job, you can obviously go ahead and do that. So that's nothing big, I would say.
Thank you, sir. Next question is open to all. The question is saying that you have entered into this field by force or by luck, and then you fall into love with your profession. So it is open to all. You come into your profession by luck or by force, or Once you are entered into this sector, you fall in love and you are continuing this. So yes, sir, over to you. Anyone can answer this?
So let me go ahead and do that, Ritesh here, correct? No, I never wanted to be in something like this, right? So it's an interesting story I'll go ahead and share with you, all of you. So I belong to a very small place where I was doing my commerce graduation. Then my dad was a sub inspector of police, so he forced me to go ahead and do LLB because I was doing nothing after graduation. So I went and did my LLB. While I was doing LLB, I got into learning English. I learned English, and then I was doing my coachings and all. I started assisting that person, and then I became, after doing my LLB, I did not get into the practice. I went into teaching. So I taught for 5 years. If you see my LinkedIn, I went ahead and taught for 5 years. And I was loving it, to be very honest, right? I mean, the kind of respect you get, the kind of affection you get from the students. And the biggest thing for me was satisfaction. When you are able to take people across the line, right? And they achieve something more than what they desire in terms of their exams, the kind of happiness you see on their faces, there is nothing like it, right? So I went ahead and did my teaching. But then I realized that in teaching, I would not be able to support my family financially. So I wanted to move out of teaching after 5 years. I got into then BPOs. I worked with Reliance, I worked with Wipro, but there I was not getting the job satisfaction. I was doing the customer service, but it was like I was doing my job and not getting anything out of it. But when I was part of Reliance, I saw the team of HRs. We had the induction of 100 plus people. So we were sitting and there were 5 people with absolute formals. They were coming, giving knowledge and talking to them, giving a pep talk. So I asked one of my person, who are these people? So they said, these are the people who are HR, and their job is to go ahead and do recruitment and help people finding the job. I said, what do they do? They said that is what they do. They go ahead and hire people, interact with people, and so don't they have to sit at the desk and take? Because I was fed up in terms of taking calls at the desk for 9 hours. When you want to go to the washroom, you have 10 minutes. You have to go and come back and again do the same job, which I didn't like, to be very honest. So I liked the HR job, right? So I had that thing in my mind. So one of my friend who got into HR, he called me when I was working in Wipro, and he asked, Ritesh, we have a job in HR. You wanted to get into HR. Do you want to come? So I said, yes, I would love to. And then I got into recruitment, which I never knew about in much details. So it was like I wanted to get into it, and then I did not like. So the reason I came into recruitment, the question comes: if somebody is jobless, and you go ahead and help that person to get into a job, right? The kind of blessings you get, the kind of satisfaction you get, for me, that is the biggest thing. So I'll share one small incident. In a very early time of my career, when I was working in Colabra in 2009-10, there was a lady who was looking for a job, and I was able to go ahead and get her a job. And I got her a job on, I think, 16th of December, right? So the day I called her and I told her that you have got a job, and she started crying on the phone. And the reason she started crying on the phone, Ritesh, she said, you have helped me a lot. Now, because of your job, I would be able to give something to my kids as a Christmas gift, which I was thinking I would not be able to celebrate with my kids. Right? So this is money is obviously the part, right? The growth is obviously a part. Learning is obviously a part. But for me, the job satisfaction is something which is very, very good. So that's how my journey has been. And I love my job because I'm helping a lot of people who are jobless in the market in America and even in India right now. A lot of people I hire. So the kind of blessings I get out of that, the wishes I get out of that, the satisfaction I get out of that, I love my job because of that.
Thank you, Ritesh sir. Thank you very much. I hope that our students will also be equally blessed to have a job from you and from your organization and other organizations. Bhupindra sir, what is your view on this? You enter into your sector by force, by luck, or yes sir, your story.
Okay. I would like to share a very simple, a three-word statement here, which is learn, grow, and succeed. This is what I have always believed in. Whenever you start your career with, you are at a learning stage. You keep on learning. You have that hunger to learn, and once during that particular stage, you never even realize that the career you are moving into is something planned you have for yourself, or is it something what you have aspired for you in your life. But once you transition from this phase of learning to grow, that is what when you start evaluating and start looking back at the trends you have with yourself. Initially, yes, of course, I never thought about that the organization. See, the career span I have with the longest span I have is with Genpact itself. And if we talk about Genpact, when once I joined at that point in time, it was in the year 2007. I joined Genpact. People used to say it has the image of a call center at that point in time. And trust me, a lot of my friends, they told me that you're joining an industry whereby you are dependent on overseas clients for your work, basically. And what happens if those clients move away? Where will you land up then? I said, okay, fine, no problems. I would take that risk for myself and see how I can evolve myself into this particular industry. And trust me, Genpact has been the longest stint I have with me, and I have worked with Genpact for almost 12 years.
Yes, sir.
That was the longest stint I have in my career for myself. And every time I challenged myself for my learning. And that's what I told you, that those three words, learn, grow, and succeed. Initially, yes, of course, it was learning phase. And once I moved on to that next level of my learning, I moved on to that growth part of myself. And today, yes, of course, when I look back, uh, it's like a success story for myself, and that's the biggest reason. Now we have been sharing our experiences with the young budding people, especially to shape up their careers in such a way that, yes, of course, whenever one biggest thing I have realized in my life is the moment you start realizing the monotony of the work you have with yourself, I think that's the right time you should challenge yourself and say, now it's a time to move on now. The moment you start facing the monotony of your work, that's the right time to look out for the options and try to see how you can explore and how you can challenge yourself more in such a way that your learning should not stop and you should keep on evolving yourself. That's the way I have looked in for my life, basically.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now we are marching towards ending this session. So before that, we will take a short questions, and I expect that the answer should be one line or two line, not more than that. So anyone can pick these questions and answer this. The quick questions are: when students will start joining their organization, they will face some pressure and tension. So how to deal with this? Anyone can answer this? How to handle pressure and tension?
It's part of the job, right? And you have to go ahead and mentally prepare yourself for that before you get into the job. That is the only way. Pressure will always be there of performance in any company you go. You have to mentally prepare yourself before you get into the job.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is, if we have a continued failure in one or two organizations, how to handle this?
We should have, yeah, so you can, so we should have, self introspection, so that we can look where actually we are lacking, and we can work on those particular skills which are required to work on. So rather than getting disheartened by this thing only, so we should start focusing more on the skill side, so that we can we can succeed on that particular side.
Thank you, sir. If any organization is not recognizing us with achievements, so how to deal with this?
This dissonance is going to come in your mind anytime, But yes, of course, if you are performing and giving the best shot of yourself, your organization sooner or later is going to realize it, and you would definitely be recognized about it. So don't think that you are not getting recognized initially. Your work will definitely speak for yourself.
It is said that when you are starting a job, in the initial phase of 5 to 10 years, you can frequently change the job to understand the market and the skill set available and where you are good at. So what is your view on that?
I personally don't believe in that. Correct. Job frequently is going to go and spoil your resume. So I would rather suggest choose a good job, stay with that, do your best. As Bhupinder sir was saying, it may take time for organizations to understand your achievements, but you would be recognized sooner or later. Stay with any organization you choose. Don't jump jobs frequently. That is what my suggestion would be.
Thank you, sir. With this, I would like to conclude here. If anyone want to share anything with our students, please go ahead so that we can conclude the session. Any of the speaker want to share anything with our students, which I missed out?
Not really. I think it was a total summative session we have, whereby we had wonderful inputs from all the panelists, and thank you so much for being the coordinator for us, and connecting the links all together for us. I think we have tried to cover the best in that context, and I suppose your college and your campus will definitely try to address these upcoming questions and issues the students have, especially during this time when they see a lot of uncertainties. But yes, I only would like to just say that just believe in yourself, try to have the best of your skill sets, and keep your basics very clear and clean so that you are not challenged across anywhere.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, with this note, I would like to conclude this session. Ritesh sir, thank you very much for giving us insight about staffing, especially US staffing, and your story of 5-year teaching, as well as your experience with Johnson & Johnson and Coca-Cola. And you have focused that everyone has special skills, and you should focus on that and keep personal things outside your office once you are in the office, and when you are moving outside the door of your office, keep the office inside the office only. And thank you, Bhupinder sir, for your thoughts about the virtual sector like AI or robotics will be the future, and startups are mushrooming, as well as your one line that is learn, grow, and success. Surely that will help our students to grow. And Ashutosh sir, thank you for telling us about the stories of new startups coming up and the services which they are providing will help the generation to generate more jobs, and they will have vacancies in that. So with this note, I would like to thank you everyone for your valuable time, and I would like to invite you physically to our campus for the physical interaction with our students, because of these guidelines right now we have not started physical campus here, we are virtually here. But once your time permits, we would like to invite you all to our campus personally. Thank you, sir. With this note, I would like to conclude this session.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, all of you. Thank you, and have a nice time ahead, and stay safe and stay healthy for all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.